Testing 1, 2, 3. Good morning. Welcome to the Dan Beasley Show. Today we're going to be investigating some news stories that are just hitting the news. One is about a planned school bombing that is taking effect in, I think, Tampa, Florida, is what I understand it to be. The accused suspect is accused of planning a major Columbine-style attack where they were still in an airplane and actually learned to fly it and land it and then carry out their terrorist plot against the school assembly. And then they were going to reassume flight to a country that had no extradition back to the United States. So that's in the news today. That was breaking on ABC.com a little while ago. You can catch the video at abc.com. Also in the news today, analysts are watching Philadelphia for a terrorist attack. They have analyzed all of the radicals and all of the situations that has them. The city's mosque have a lot of Islamic ties, and there are a lot of mosques in that particular city, and it's called the City of Brotherly Love. It's where some of the Rocky movies were filmed. But as you can say, the news may be reliable and may not be. Right now, it's just a theory that Philadelphia is next on the list of hits as far as being a target for the Muslim Brotherhood or the Al Qaeda arm of the Muslim Brotherhood. In Oregon today, we have actually, I want to correct myself. The plot was to be carried out in Oregon, not in Florida. So everyone was calling the kid a nice kid, and he was a very quiet kid and very much a loner, and he was looking for attention. So he was going about it the wrong way. But he was planning on using pipe bombs, Molotov cocktails, napalm, all made from drain cleaner. So anyway, where these kids get their information is probably off the web. They probably have ingredients for all of that. They used to have C4 on there, but they took it off for reasons that you should understand. There's 40 statistics right now that's on Blacklisted News that's currently showing that the U.S. economy is about to fall, in spite of the fact that the stock market is locked up 150% from what it was a year ago. 40 statistics about the fall of the U.S. economy that are almost too crazy to believe. We won't go into all 40, but we will just kind of like spotlight a few. Going into the detail of it, according to the U.S. World Bank, the World Bank, the U.S. GDP, that's the gross domestic product, not the GNP that they used to measure it by. GNP was the way we measured production. GDP is the way we measure consumption. So the GDP accounted for 31.8% of all global activity in 2001. That number dropped 21.6% in 2011. There are less Americans working in manufacturing today than there were in 1950, even though the population of the country has doubled. And overall, the U.S. has run a trade deficit of more than $8 trillion with the rest of the world since 1975. When you run a trade deficit, that means that we're buying more from the foreign manufacturers and we're selling to the foreign countries. So therefore, we run a deficit, and that's in the mix of the pricing of things, and it goes into taxation and all the other stuff. It's a ripple effect or domino effect, if you would. Right now, 53% of American workers make less than 30,000 a year. Uh, and small business is rapidly dying in America. That's where the majority of the jobs are. Um, and they're going to compare Americans with Greece and Spain. They said today the number of Americans on Social Security disability now exceeds the entire population of Greece, and the number of people on food stamps in America now exceeds the entire population of Spain. And it's only going to get worse, folks, as time goes on. So you just need to buckle your seatbelts and just see what happens, because I think we're going to be in for a nice little roller coaster ride with the devaluation of the dollar and everything else that's going to be coming about. In fact, there's even talk about doing away with the dollar altogether, as far as buying petrochemicals and trading oil. China's wanting to replace it with their currency as being the currency of choice. Um, Believe it or not, here we are at the end of May, and White Face Mountain in New York did a Rolodex, sees 3 feet of snow over the weekend. While everyone else is celebrating Memorial Day, they are under 3 feet of snow. So if you want to go skiing today, this would be a good place to go. Um, Assuming that they have ski resorts there, which I would probably think so. So anyway, the mountain is like 5,000 feet tall. It's in the Adirondacks, and it was a part of the Olympics. So I'm sure they do have ski facilities there. Uh, and right now in the news as well, there's a rare 3-planet alignment tonight. It would be Jupiter, Mercury, and Venus all be seen together. And they'll all be within like one arc on the horizon, meaning that you don't have to go and spot one after the other. I mean, it's just through one visual view, and you'll see a 3-degree field of the night sky, and all of these planets will be in your field of vision. So, and it's going to happen between 30 and 60 minutes after sunset. So if you have clear weather, you may want to take that in, because this is a rare alignment. It won't be seen again for quite a while. I'm not giving that information. Well, it will happen again in 2015. So it's not that rare of a condition, but it's something that people, if you have telescopes or whatever, you don't have to train your telescopes all over the place. You can just pick them all off, 1, 2, 3. Every time I get my telescope out, it's always foggy, yeah, or cloudy, or what have you. South Carolina doesn't have the greatest weather for sky viewing. There are a lot of starry nights, but there's a lot of cloud cover and a lot of haze, high atmospheric haze. Okay, that's what we have for today in the news, and welcome you to the show. I'm glad you were able to make it to Memorial Day, and I hope everyone is safe and well. We're looking at the inspirational part of the show today, and I was talking about the stock market a few minutes ago, about how can it be possible that stock market's gone up 150% since last year, and yet we're still feeling these jerky feelings about the economy is still on shaky ground, in spite of the stats. And we're looking at in the King James Version about riches, and it says It says in James, do not rich men oppress you and draw you before their judgment seats. Do they not blaspheme that worthy name that you are called? It says, go now, you rich men, weep and howl, for your misery shall come upon you. Your riches are corrupted, and your garments are moth-eaten. Your gold and silver is cankered, and the rust of them shall be a witness against you. And you shall eat the flesh. You shall eat your flesh, as it were fire. Ye have heaped together for the last days. Behold, hire the laborers who you have hired to reap down your fields, which is of you kept back by fraud, crieth, and the cries of them which you have reaped are enter into the ears of the Lord of the Sabbath. You have lived in pleasure on earth and been wanton. Ye have nourished your hearts as in the day of slaughter. But whosoever has this world's good, and seeth his brother have need, and shuts up his bowels of compassion from him, how dwelleth the love of God in him? This is really saying that you have misplaced love. At the end times that we are, many people believe we are in. Um, Economically, you can look on the front page of newspapers or the splash page on the websites, and you will see where the economic conditions are not favorable for either Europe or the United States. And gold has been the standard for so long that everyone thinks that that is a hedge against economic disaster. But this phrase right here, this verse is saying that your gold and silver is cankered, it's become corrupted, it's become like rust, it's become useless. So it's not going to be, you're not going to be able to fight your way out of this one by trying to use, gold and silver as a hedge against the hyperinflation that's predicted to happen in the next year or so. Once they devalue the dollar and the dollar falls, you're going to see prices skyrocket. And I'm not advising anyone to go out hoarding things, but it may be wise to do so to a certain degree. I know the survivalists would agree with that, but this is just common sense. You see the food prices going up. The fuel prices are going to be factored into the prices of the food eventually. And with the drought out in the Midwest and all of that, with the grain being diverted from cattle feed to ethanol and mixed in with the gasoline, you can see where that's a train wreck waiting to happen. So you're going to have problems with food shortages. You're going to have problems with monetary inequities. You're going to have banks that are raking it in. They're still refusing to come off of the TARP money that was loaned to them to actually invest back into the economy. So theoretically, that constitutes fraud and theft. But um, a bank is an extension of the government itself. So how can they be stealing? Well, they're stealing from themselves is what they're doing. But banks pay very little for money anyway from the government. It's almost impossible to see that a bank can even go broke for a little bit of money that they pay to be able to loan out the money at a high rate. Right now, I think the interest rates are still around 2.5 or 3 or whatever, but nevertheless, they're still making a killing hand over fist, even at that rate, by them paying almost 50 cents, on the dollar that they're getting. If they're paying that, they may be paying 10 cents on the dollar that they're getting from the Fed. So anyway, the Fed could keep ordering money to be pumped into the economy, without anything backing it, which we don't have backed by the gold standard. We went off of that in 1972. So therefore, we're in for an interesting 2013 for the remainder of the year. And I'm not even going to place any any time kind of stock and what the predictions are